So hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Mindset Matters. For those of you who've seen it before, you'll know what this is all about. But today I am delighted to say I'm with Laura Vind Hanke. Is that correct? Is that close? I do my best to pronounce your name. You can tell everyone how it is. And Laura and I, we do a bit of work together. We're part of an entrepreneurial business group. And she has a fascinating story, as most people that we talk to on these are. So, as always, I'd like her to introduce herself, say a little bit about who she is, and then we're going to talk about all things mindset. And there's some interesting stuff I know is going to come out of this, which hopefully will have an impact on what you're doing and give you some ideas how you can be successful personally and professional. So, Laura, without further ado, please introduce yourself.
Well, thank you so much. And it's such a pleasure to sit and speak with Marcus every time that I have a conversation with you. I just feel better. I just feel more positive. And I think you want to surround yourself with people that just make you feel that way. So yes, we're currently sitting here in my office actually. So just to tell you, this is my office.
Yeah, no, in the office. How good's that?
So just to tell you a little bit about my story, how you pronounce my name is Laura Vind Hanke. It's actually Danish and half Swiss as well. Very exotic. But I've been in London for about 5 years now. And I study music, so everything music. I've always been singing. I've always been in the music world. That's always been my thing. I think I could probably sing before I could talk type situation. And I moved here 5 years ago to study. And then that was good fun. And now I'm a music supervisor at Universal, where I find music for TV ads, what else? Podcasts, you name it. Bands, promos, a lot of promos on TV that you see. And then alongside that, I'm an artist, so I make electronic pop, but I have a classical music background, so I try to like fusion the two together. And then I also run an online business in health and beauty. So I have lots of like little plates that I shuffle around with, which has been the best thing I've ever done, probably.
Fantastic. And I have a musical background as well. Some of you may know that I'm a musician, away from everything mindset. And I was fascinated to hear some of the journey that Laura's been on with regards to her kind of everyday professional life, but also the fact she's taking that step to go outside of her career to embrace a really positive, kind of healthy, well-being environment. Yeah. And I think what people are interested in when we do these is what, first of all, gave you the confidence to go, or was there a point at which you weren't confident enough? You know, how did you get to the mindset where, okay, I can do all these things, I'm going to move, and then I'm going to just launch out into a whole kind of world of entrepreneurial stuff?
I really like that question. And I think it's like benefit versus problem, isn't it? And I think most people change whenever there's a problem. And that was the same for me. I had a problem. I had no time. I was broke. And I had a really severe bad skin. And I was like, wait, this is not great. So I need to sort my life out. I need to figure out what I'm doing. Because firstly, my brand, this is my brand. And if I don't feel comfortable and confident in my brand, I have nothing. Yeah. But also I was a student and I was just working a lot in part-time jobs. I was working in cafes. I was working in bars. And it just didn't do it for me. And we all know that London is a very expensive place to live. But also the hourly wage for like a traditional cafe or like a coffee shop job just didn't cut it. So it came from a perspective that I needed to create an asset income actually, but I didn't really have the toolkit, I didn't have the capital, and I didn't have the support network. But then I came across a business where now I'm affiliated with a brand, so I don't do any of that heavy lifting, but I'm still a part of the things that I wanted to be a part of, and I was able to learn. So yeah, it was really freaking scary.
Yeah, I'm sure.
For sure. And I think you can never do anything new within your comfort zone. And it's just a fact. And you just have to make peace with it. Make peace with that. There's going to be a point where you feel like you're on thin ice and it's going to be scary, but that's going to be okay. That's the point of it.
It's empowering. It's interesting. There's two things that I can pick up on there. You mentioned your brand, and this is your brand. This isn't my brand. But hey, here we go. And I think that's so true, because I have worked with people, let's say, in the same sort of health and well-being space, and if they don't look reasonably healthy and well, it's hard to kind of get amongst that. And I have come across a lot of people who maybe would benefit from from kind of taking their own advice, I think,
Yeah.
in fairness. And it's the same with me. I genuinely practice what I preach every day. I'm annoyingly positive, but actually that is my default because I do all the things that I share with other people. So I think it's really important to immerse yourself in the brand. And then the comfort zone thing, we've probably all seen that sort of graphic that goes around. There's a circle saying comfort zone and then a big arrow going out of it and says the magic is here. Well, it's kind of true, because if you do want to improve, do more, feel better and feel more kind of engaged with life, and that you're somehow getting more out of the very short time we have on this rock, then outside the comfort zone, that little bit of kind of nerves and butterflies in the stomach in a positive way to drive you to do something else is so powerful. So was there kind of a defining moment when, I bad skin? Obviously, I've only known you with the skin you see before you, which is very good. But what was it that kind of said, right, now, enough's enough, I'm going to make the change?
I think I remember this like really defining moment, and it was like right after Christmas. I think I've been in London for like a year. And it was the 13th of January. I remember so clearly. And I had paid for my rent, I paid for my oyster, I paid for I could live, right? And I went to the shop to buy some clothes and my card got declined. And I thought, okay, so it's been 13 days into the month and I don't have any money and I'm no way on earth gonna call my mum and ask to borrow money. That's just that was the bottom of like my line. Because my story moving to London was kind of just spontaneous. I've never done anything spontaneous in my life. But I had the opportunity to move to London, so I didn't have time to prep. So I borrowed some money from my parents so I could actually pay for deposit, actually buy the flight and pay for the deposit on the room, all of those necessities that you would when you were to move. And I just had too much pride to give him a call and be like, oh, do you mind? So I can actually have fun. So that was a really big lesson for me, to just figure things out, take responsibility for what I want to do. And I think that's something that's really important to remember, actually, and just be realistic. If nothing changes, nothing's going to change. And I know that might sound a little bit harsh, but you need to be looking at what you're doing. Is your daily habit, is that going to serve you or is it not?
Yeah.
Just be very upfront about it, because it's not going to change if you don't.
Yeah, it's so true. We all kind of know that, don't we? That if you don't change what you're doing, then you'll get the same results.
Yeah.
I'll probably quote this on here so many times, but Einstein's credited with doing the same things and expecting different results is the road to insanity. And that's kind of it. I meet so many people, especially this time of year. We're in the middle of January, and people say, "Yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that." And okay, what changes are you prepared to make? Are you ready to invest in yourself and make those changes? And it's kind of, yeah, okay. And there's that other graphic going around that it's 2020. I'm still talking about implementing the changes I said I was definitely going to do in 2019 that I thought about doing in 2018, and I kind of wrote down for the first time in 2017. And there are all sorts of things that kind of hold us back, and it's partly that comfort zone. So it's those moments when you say, no, this card in the machine moment, no more, I'm never having that again. And I think that's hugely powerful. So that was the moment. What was the plan? Okay, so right, what am I doing for you? What did you think I'm going to do next? I'm going to change this.
Well, I was really I'm practical. I'm practical about everything. So I was literally just visualizing in front of me, like, what are my outgoings, what are my ingoings, and where do I want to be, and what is that gap in between? So I think it was definitely a thing of, okay, what is the reality and how can I change that? Okay, if I start a business that will then fit around what I do, that will give me more time and flexibility to add on to that as an income. But also, I really had to work on my mindset and really had to work on my attitude. What am I telling myself? Am I telling myself that, oh, I can never afford things? Or am I telling myself, oh, it's always me, why me? Or like, oh, am I telling myself that I can't do something? Because what you tell yourself, it's right, you're right, you can't do it because you believe that you can't. So I really had to strip things back to like basics and be like, okay, right, I'm just gonna measure my self-talk as well. And every time I had a little wristband on my a little like elastic wristband, and every time I said a negative thing, I flicked it.
Nice.
And
Nice.
And it really was. Every time I said something negative about myself, I flicked it to like remind myself. No, reverb it. Make it a reverbage of something positive, because that way you just reprogram your mind.
Yeah, and that only works. I share this with everyone I work with.
Yeah.
And some people are skeptical, some people just absolutely get that it works. But if we just imagine we have a positivity, a bank, a reservoir within us, which can be positive or negative. It's that simple. And if you feed in positive information, you kind of well up with this sense of can do, and you're able to more successfully meet challenges. No different to a normal bank account. Now, if you've got thousands and thousands of pounds in your bank account, you get a bill, who cares? If you're in an overdraft, if you're in negative, you get a bill, it really pains you. It becomes the sole focus of your world. And because of the way we give instructions to our brain, we now know that what we ask of it is what it will get. We almost attract towards us. And this has been the discussion for years about, is this woo science, is it all made up? Well, I was watching a fascinating documentary over Christmas, because I'm so exciting that I watch documentaries over Christmas, and it was all about sort of a maths program saying, can we prove if luck is a thing?
I like that.
And it was kind of quite fun. They were doing lots of experiments. And essentially, you can influence your own luck. We genuinely create our own luck, and they do lots of experiments. But one of the things, they had a Harvard professor on talking about what they do from a psychological perspective. And they were talking, especially with sports people, that the three elements, you've got the physicality, the bodies and the muscles, the training, the skill for the sport, which absolutely you have to have, the nutrition, what we feed our body, the input to our body, so the body can replenish. But then he said a really powerful thing, that the third thing they absolutely don't leave to chance is the mindset, the luck of mindset, that they do exactly the same. They fill it with all the reasons why they're going to be the best. And this is this key difference between even successful people and super successful people who constantly give that information and remotivate and refresh, saying, this is how I'm going to achieve it. Visualize. So it's fantastic.
And a funny thing is this as well. So let's say you have a presentation or an interview or a pitch or a meeting that you really think is important. I've noticed that if I listen to something that make me feel that empowered just before, it doesn't matter what you say, but the way that you say it comes across with so much conviction and confidence, and just the knowing that what you're doing is going somewhere. So the result of the meeting or whatever it is doesn't matter, but it will bring you closer whenever you just have that very fresh in your mind. That will be a very different kind of conversation than if you kind of wishy-washy in terms of a mindset perspective, even though you might say exactly the same words.
Well, you're right. It's about how you feel about it. And we know that, a simple example, you get some new clothes, it could be a whole new wardrobe, everything from new underwear, new shoes, new fresh shirt, and you just walk out, you feel great. You feel amazing, don't you? Now, you're still the same person inside, but it's that whole almost ritual of, I feel good, I'm clean, I'm fresh, I'm great, I'm looking sharp, or whatever it might be. And it's the same with our mindset. I use this one a lot. There was a great motivational speaker back in the day called Zig Ziglar. What a name is that? And he talks about, he says, motivation is no different to showering. If you don't do it every day, you start to whiff a bit, you develop stinking thinking. And it's so just true. Brilliant. It is. So this constant, reaffirming, refreshing, reminding keeps us in the zone of can-do and positivity. So you made the change and you decided, right, I'm going to do this. How's it all going? What happened next?
So that was like 3 years ago.
Okay.
And it's changed my life. It's honestly changed my life. I think the only reason why I'm actually working at Universal is because of the mindset that I've grown through starting my business. Because through my business, I had to learn, being on, what's the word? Oh God, I lost the word. Keeping going.
Mm-hmm.
Just keeping going. Resilience. There we go. Resilience.
Yeah.
Good word. Being resilient and discipline. Being resilient and pleasantly persistent. I've learned that. So
like that. Say that again.
Pleasantly persistent.
Yeah.
So the way I got the job here, I saw my flatmate at the time's primary school friend shared a link on his Facebook profile, and I contacted this guy and I was like, "Hi, I just saw that you have you just posted this link about an internship. would you be okay if I just asked a few questions about it? Because it sounds like something I'm really good at or that I'd love to do. So I spoke with him and he said, oh yeah, that sounds great. I'll give you HR's number. So I called HR and I said, hi, I've been speaking to this previous intern, blah, 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 blah. And they said, oh, this position's already taken. However, your CV looks quite good. Let's have a conversation to see if there's other jobs. And there weren't at the time. And I said, would it be all right if I call you back in a week just to check? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. She never picked up the phone. But I called anyway and I left a voicemail and I said, yep, just me again, just checking in. If there's any jobs coming up, let me know. It's good to speak. And she would call me back and say, oh, there's nothing yet, but I'll keep you posted. And I'd ask permission again, is it all right if I call you back in a week? And she said, yeah, that's fine. I called about 4 or 5 times. So this is like about a month. And I think how many people would have said, it's probably just not going to happen?
Most, I think.
Most people would just say, it's probably just not going to happen. And I was shoe shopping and I got a call and they were like, we got an interview. And I said, great, I'll be there. And luckily enough, that happened to be the job I'm in now. But I think, imagine if you just had called once more, or you just had tried to that one thing you wanted to do just once more, just one more time, because it will happen if you're being pleasantly persistent. Obviously, she gave me permission to call back, so I wasn't hassling. I want to just make that clear. Don't hassle people. However, that made the difference.
Yeah, I think that's a really good definition. There's a good line between hassling and persistence. But it's that thing of most people give up too easily. They think, oh, that's gone. And the number of times that I hear that people have got the job, the deal, the opportunity. It's that thing that the more you keep yourself in that space, the more likely you are to be lucky and get that job. And there are so many times. There's a lovely story about Thomas Edison, who's credited with inventing the light bulb. So for those real hardcore scientists, I know there's other versions of this, but for the main, Thomas Edison is the guy who's credited with the light bulb. And he had, bearing in mind, there had never been electric lights. All we had was candles. And he had to work out the thing called the filament, the thing that lights up in the middle, what sort of wire, what thickness should it be, and what current should go through. So he's trying. So just once again, I'll say it, never been seen electric light. He had a few failures. So I don't know about you. How many times would you keep going if it didn't work, and keep trying?
I mean, now, until it happens, but, if you're starting your journey, you just feel a bit deflated if you try like maybe 5-10 times.
Yeah, you might have gone for 100. You might have gone for 2. We might have gone 200-300.
Yeah.
Estimates vary, but it's generally the consensus is between 5,000 and 10,000 goes he had at getting it right. And that's mind-blowing. Now, obviously, I'm not saying you should all ring up 5,000 or 10,000 times for everything, but it's just a wonderful example that sometimes part of the journey is finding out the ways not to do it until it becomes good.
Yeah. And I think also along the way, you learn something. You really learn something, whether that's about yourself. And I think actually, I'm actually getting goosebumps because you really feel good actually when you're like, I'm really proud that I stayed the course and now this was totally worth it. If maybe this is like an easy relatable situation. If you go into the gym and you really just want to hit that like mark of running or hit that level of repetitions or weight or whatever, do a pull-up, you name it, whatever is applicable to whatever person, and then you finally get that and you were really proud that you had the courage to keep going even though it felt like nothing was changing. And that's also worth it.
Well, you bring up a really interesting point, because it's weightlifters they push themselves to fail.
All the time.
Yeah, that's where actual failure is the pinnacle of achievement.
That's the
because
point.
You've got to the absolute limit of what you can do. So I'm going to add that to my repertoire if you can.
I'll view it as differently. This failure is the point.
Pleasantly
Failure is the
persistent.
point.
And
you want to push until you can't do it, because then you know that you need to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. So you are also, which you haven't mentioned much about, a bit of a singer.
I am.
Bit of a vocalist. This is where, so I'm a singer. I'm kind of, I'm a little bit above.
This is the real reason why we're friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, bit above an average band pub singer. Laura, I really can't stand her because she's so good, and we don't have time for her to sing to you today, but we will put a link underneath the video where you can hear some of the stuff.
Sure.
She is genuinely amazing, and a composer, a recently commissioned composer, but that's a whole different story. So it's part of the, I don't want to put words in your mouth here, but as you started to get more and more successful doing the new things, if you like, with the mindset, has that sort of expanded into everything else you're doing?
Oh yeah, 100%. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And your mindset just affects everything. And I think my music career, from an artist perspective and the singer and musician perspective, has just really grown. Pardon me. And I think now, I was frustrated, not gonna lie, when I moved here and nothing, I was like, oh, I want to speak to label, I want to be heard, I want to create music. And I think it took me a little while to find my sound, but now I have projects that come to me. Obviously, yeah, I'm still working really hard on it and not always get what I want, but I'm attracting things that I would dream of before. So my bar has raised, and I actually also think I'm a better singer because I've worked on my mindset. It's very peculiar.
Well, it's a skill like any other, isn't it? I think people don't get the mindset is a skill. It's no different to going to gym and working your muscles, or practicing with your vocal cords, or going on a course to learn Prince 2, or it doesn't matter. It's all a development process. And I think with the visualization, which you mentioned earlier, I remember years ago, I always wanted to do this big sort of, for me, a couple of thousand people might have been great, and we wanted to be gig to 5,000 people, and it was just an awesome experience. So how often, what might be interesting to share is, so how often do you use things like visualization? Are there daily rituals and stuff that you do now? And talk us through that.
I think your daily ritual is key. If you can't do it daily, this is not going to happen. So for me, I wake up and I have an hour of me time, where I'll go through meditation, reading, visualization, affirmations, gratitude. Gratitude is a big one. So I'll say things back to myself, and if this feels really weird when you do it the first time, it's going to feel weird for a while. But if you go to the mirror and you say to yourself what your biggest dream is, for me, I'm like, I'm played on BBC One Radio.
Yeah.
I am, and then in present tense. And when you say that enough time and you feel it and you say it again, it needs to feel a little bit weird, but try it, because it really works.
Yeah.
It really works. And when you say that repeatedly over and over again, and you do that every day, or even if you don't need to use an hour. Pick one thing and stick to it, and then you add on.
So something is better than nothing.
Absolutely. Yeah, little changes, tiny little changes.
It's great to hear that. I mean, we have a thing called the Daily Developer with clients, so they do it on their app.
Yeah.
So you open your app and you've got all of your affirmations, or you do it in a book. Some people prefer the written form. And it doesn't matter. I do them in the shower. I do them driving to work. I do them. And it's great in the car because I can sit there shouting away, and because I really get into it. And that's the other thing that
let yourself loose.
Yeah, have fun with it, and let the universe know. Because I do a little ritual when we first sort of get clients to do this. This might be something they've never done, sort of writing something down, as you say, in the present tense, saying, I now am the #1 UK sales manager, or #1 artist, or whatever it might be, because there's time for the day. There's a whole level of psychology of how the brain reacts to that. So you say it absolutely in the now, and of course you could just read it to yourself. It's better than nothing. Or then you can just read it out, I am played on Radio 1 right now. Okay, that's cool. Or you can go, morning world, I am played on Radio 1 right now, and kind of get into it and almost ham it up and have some fun with it.
You want to feel it.
And you can physically feel it. And bearing in mind, everything in the universe is a wave, it's a harmony. Every single thing that we've ever discovered in the universe is somehow resonating. That's all we're doing.
And you want to put little reminders, so whether that's the background on your phone, or you have a little poster on your mirror, or something that just reminds you of what your dreams are. Because why are we doing all these things? Like, have the reason why you're doing all these things present every day.
Massively.
And I actually had this moment this morning. I had sent off a demo to someone about getting some feedback from someone I'm going to work with. And I literally listened to her voice note back, and she was baffled. She was like, oh my God. she had to stop the voice note because she was so impressed with what I do. And I think for me, I just put something together to kind of, can you just give me some feedback on this? But to her, it was a different story. And that just feeded back into, oh, this is why I do what I do. This is why I work really hard. This is why I get up so really early to work on my mindset, because I can have reactions just like that.
Yeah.
And I want to have way more of that. And I think having your why really I cannot emphasize this enough. It needs to be crystal clear.
Yeah.
Why you're doing what you're doing. It doesn't matter what you do, why. Why is the reason? Because that's going to drive you.
Fabulous. I love that. There's a great Simon Sinek video,
Yes.
which is all about the golden circle and what's your why. And so many companies and individuals could just benefit from working out what's the point, because as I discover quite frequently, so many people's goals are other people's goals. They're not their own.
Yeah.
They are other people's, and for very good reasons. But we need to make sure they're ours. And so having the why is that's
everything.
And the early morning thing just really works. There's never a time of day when you shouldn't do this stuff, I believe. But early morning, it just sets you up well. The day's better. I get up at stupid o'clock most days. I'm 4:30 most days of the week. But I'm just lucky. That's the way that I've gone from. When I was a musician, I was going to bed at 4:30 for many years, having had many beers as well. But I just flipped that a few years ago when I became, because a bit like you, some of you know my story. I kind of got to a place which I didn't want to be financially, personally, professionally, and I had to turn that round. And it's interesting that you've had to turn around in less than 3 years. You've gone from, being in a pretty challenged place. I know you kind of shared with me before that it was, having your car decline one thing. It's just not a great place to be, is it?
Yeah. So that feels like I've failed in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And it happens to so many people every day.
All the time.
Yeah.
Because of, maybe it's also a social type of pressure that, we need to do all these things. I need to go brunching on Saturdays and join all these groups and have a perfect life. And actually, I think, still learning, over time, beginning to be okay with FOMO. Actually, I'm okay with not going out getting pissed on a Friday, or I'm not okay saying yes to this. I'm okay with not doing that. I'm okay with whatever it is that you need to give up to do something different. Learn to be okay with that, and learn to be okay with people thinking in this a little bit strange. Mm-hmm. And that's difficult. That's a difficult one.
I think that's so important. You make a real good point, because we've got Facebook and social media, which I'm still getting my head round from a perspective of it. All it is, it's like, wow, look at me. It's the very best snapshot of a moment in time of people's lives. Yeah. And everyone thinking that other person is living the best life. It's just nonsense. It's like, years ago when we only had cameras that you had to take the pictures to go and get developed in the chemists. I can't remember. There was shops for it. My brain's just gone because it's so many years ago. But you'd no idea what you'd taken. Yeah. And out of all the whole 2 weeks holiday, for argument's sake, you might have one or two pictures that were any good, and that's the one you wanted to show everyone because that was the best moment that made you look like you were having a great time. And a lot of the time, you just want to have an ordinary time. So not being pressured by other people, especially if the bank balance is a little bit low for a while. Yeah. And there are people who will go and get into debt and put money on credit cards rather than just say, I really want to stay and have some home time for a few days and be really comfortable with that. So that's hugely powerful, especially if you're going through a transition and you're working towards something. I had to do the same. I didn't see anyone go out, didn't drink for ages. I really had to focus on what I wanted, and it changed me fundamentally.
And I bet it was worth it after as well.
Oh man, massively. I can't recognise myself. The me 10 years ago and the me today are such different people.
Yeah, and I think also a point is, especially if you start something new, you're on a journey, it's really important to have accountability and support. I went to this event the other day, and I'm vegan. There we go. And I went to a vegan event. We do that. And the guy was there like, if you're trying to be vegan for the first time for like a month or something, maybe you don't want to go to a steakhouse with all your friends that just love eating meat just for a little while. It doesn't mean you're going to neglect them forever, but maybe you don't want to just surround yourself with those people too much. You want to surround yourself with people that you want to attract, that you want to be like, that are good for you. So, tap into Marcus's resources, because if you want to build your mindset, you want to get out of that comfort zone, do something different, you want to surround yourself with people that understand that and want to root you on, say that's amazing, I want to support that,
Yeah,
and cheer you on.
Yeah, thanks for that. And it's in a way, it's a shameless plug, and that's not what these are about.
No, but still, or any
but
resource really.
Yeah, accountability is one of the biggest things that people say to me. Is one of the biggest benefits, knowing they've got to do it. And that's no different, as you say, if you're going vegan, you might have some nutrition help, or you'll grow in a group with other people to support you. If you go to the gym, you get such better results if you have a personal trainer.
Yeah.
If you want to do better at swimming, get a swimming coach. And so whatever your next phase or the things you want to improve and acquire, there's loads of great stuff online, and self-help, that is a brilliant place to start. But getting someone in to kind of be there and really be on your side and on your team is hugely powerful.
And also just know that your story is worth being heard.
Oh God, yeah.
We're all very different, and we all have different voices.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we train ourselves to have that knowing that that's important to hear. You have a story that's worth listening to.
Yeah. And so many people do have stories.
Yeah, it's worth it.
One of the affirmations I had to follow, and I nearly always give out as an example, is don't be judgmental, get curious about people who are angry, rude or dismissive, because they may well be fighting a battle you know nothing about.
Yeah.
And nearly everyone I meet has a level of that going on in their life. And I didn't talk about a lot of my story till about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I started talking about it because I thought, who cares? Who's interested? But actually, it turns out a lot of people are, because they can then relate to some of the stuff that I've had. Yeah. And then you find out, actually, there's bits of my life that weren't quite normal, because I thought they were normal, because we all think our life's normal. And you start talking about it. My brothers and I laugh about it now. And you think, yeah, no, that wasn't normal. And oh, okay, thanks for that. Right, we'll process it. Yeah. So it's I'll be doing more videos about some of that, which I hope you'll find quite interesting, challenging, and hopefully amusing as well. But anyway, that's for another day. So I know time is against us. I just wondered if you might like to summarise top tips for overcoming challenges and that helped you on a daily basis.
Oh God, I mean, I would say grow through it. Be okay with things feeling a bit wobbly. That's number one. Then you kind of accepted that fact. But then also tap into what makes you feel good. So for me, it's like dancing around in the morning. Do that as a daily ritual. And then whether you read or you listen to something that will grow your mind, do that. Whatever floats your boat. I like a bit of a mix, because when I listen to stuff, I kind of do something else. On my commute, I listen to, like, Audible is my thing. If you want to read, then read. And I'd say I do that every day, and it grows my mind. It really grows my mind into being a better person. And then I would say gratitude. Write down things that you're grateful for within the past 24 hours. Whether that was your morning coffee, to the toaster for breakfast, or to the nice person that says hi to you on the platform and by the tube, or something. Because whenever you're grateful for things, you are going to achieve more things you'll be grateful for. So I think those would be my top tips.
Fabulous. Yeah, looking at what you've got is so powerful. A gratitude journal. We encourage people to start off with that. And I know sometimes when I don't do it, it's easy to let our mind drift. So that is really, really powerful. And I love the visualization you talked about. And patiently persistent. I absolutely adore that. That's really good. So thank you so much for taking the time to share some of your journey today. As I mentioned before, I'll put some links below, because I think it'd be really good to check out some of your music.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also your personal website as well.
Yeah, get in touch with any questions.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you for listening, watching, and I hope you found something of interest or inspiration today. And thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
For taking the time to do it.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Bye everyone. Bye.